Let's grab a cup of Joe with Martha and Marco. People will get to know with Martha and Marco. So come on and join the show. It's Martha and it's Marco.
All right. Welcome, guys, to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Coffee Corner with Marco and Martha. Today we have an awesome show for you guys.
Yes.
We're actually celebrating Doctor's Day, which is Saturday. But we do have a special guest today that kind of fits all the criteria for Doctor's Day, that can celebrate Doctor's Day. It is Dr. Scott French. He works upstairs in the 4th floor, and he does all awesome things. Awesome.
Yay!
Dr. French, thank you so much for being here.
Excellent.
So
It's
good
great
to see you,
be
sir.
here. Great to be here.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you so much.
Now, the one thing I always wanted to trick you up on, I've been preparing for this.
Oh, I love it.
The host, if you ever watch a talk show host,
Don't
the
tell me I
host
know what it is.
never sits down
before the guest.
Oh, God.
If-
So
I broke it.
purposely hesitated.
If you've
You guys are
noticed,
gonna have to work on your
if
game.
you've
We already have
noticed,
to work on our game. You're absolutely right.
If
See, this
we've
is why we
noticed.
need you around, Dr. French. Sorry, go on.
there has been some where I have watched that because I used to watch Conan. I used to watch a bunch of different talk show hosts, and they always did that. They were always kind of weird. There was some that kind of made fun of him. They were like, "Oh, am I gonna
right.
sit down?" They used to
faked
do
the
that. Yeah,
sit
they
down.
faked it. I've always been trying to like catch that. But I
Yeah.
didn't.
See, as the medical
Apologies.
director, I'm here to help
Thank
you
you.
out with these
Thank
things.
you.
We're gonna
We
need a
appreciate
protocol
that.
for that.
We are.
That's awesome. Well, it's really great having you. I think we talked very long about having you on the show, and I'm really happy that the perfect storm kind of happened, where it's Doctor's Day, you're a doctor.
You guys coordinated it
We
perfectly.
coordinated it perfectly, thanks to our production team. All right, so let's get to the hard-hitting questions.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you ready for them?
I'm ready.
We had a team of investigators come up with some questions. First question is, you're a doctor. How long have you been a doctor for?
So you want my little story? My little
I want a
snippet?
little
So
summation.
back in 1986, I graduated from high school,
Yay.
and I was like, what am I going to do? I don't know. I like biology, and all my friends went to U of I in Champaign, so that's where I went. It wasn't until my senior year of college I joined this Illini EMS volunteer student-run organization,
Oh, cool.
and we hung out in the stands, and if there was an emergency, we'd be able to get the person out of the stands and bring them down to a waiting ambulance. As part of that, I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. So then I became an EMT. I took the whole class
Nice.
and became an EMT. And from there, I finished college, and I was like, well, I don't know what I want to do. And a family member said, hey, why don't you be a doctor? No one else in my family had been a doctor or in the medical field at all. And so I needed a year to take the MCATs, the entrance exams. So that's when I worked on a private ambulance in the Chicago area for a year, and I did some research for the transplant group at Rush.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
it was
So
cool
you
stuff.
were working special events before you ever had
Yeah,
That's awesome.
in a sense, yeah, exactly. So then from there I got into medical school, and having the EMS background, emergency medicine was what I wanted to do. So I shout out to Ohio, everyone watching from Ohio. I went to residency in emergency medicine in Cleveland.
Oh,
Cool.
all right.
I'm actually going back there in a couple weeks to visit some friends.
Oh, fun.
Before that, I lived in Indiana. Shout out to Indiana. I lived in Fort Wayne, Indiana for the first 10 years of my life. And I've lived in Wisconsin too, in the Milwaukee area, Brookfield. So shout out to Wisconsin. I need to move to Michigan at some point because I have not been to Michigan as far as living.
We don't want to let you go that easy, though. So you're allowed to visit, but we don't want you moving.
We'll see if the Michigan people can attract me there, get me there.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that's kind of my story. And then having the EMS background, emergency medicine, is kind of what it was all about. So I became an EMS medical director.
That's awesome.
Cool. Do you think that having that EMS background helped you in
Oh, for sure.
actual, like,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know what it feels like because I did it. I worked in an ambulance in the city, and one day we worked north side, one day we worked south side, one day we go west, went a little east. There's a lake there that gets in the way. But yeah, so I did it all for a year before I went to med school.
That's awesome. And then I'm pretty sure now, so here at Superior you help write the SOPs for critical care. I think that's actually a really good thing because you were there. You were in the back of the ambulance, so you know what they kind of deal with and everything. So I think it's really good to have that in perspective.
Exactly. I appreciate how nice I have it in a building, in an emergency department, with no weather elements or stairs to go up and down, or buildings that you walk into that you don't think should be allowed to go into without a hard hat or something like that. So yeah, I understand those environments.
That's awesome. And back when you've been a medical director for a hospital system before?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's only 2 years after, so I finished in 1998. I went to go work at St. Francis in Evanston, first suburb north of Chicago. And about 2 years later, I became EMS medical director under the guise of Dr. Aldinger, who started the program there.
Cool.
He started the emergency medicine as a department there, being the first graduate at the University of Chicago of an emergency medicine residency.
That's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I sort of followed in his footsteps.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
How long have you been the medical director for our critical care team then?
So it's a little bit of a loaded question because as the EMS medical director at St. Francis, I was involved with Sherry Pepping, writing the protocols and everything and getting the program up and running. And then I started here internally with Superior December of 22.
Excellent.
So you've always kind of been involved with Superior, critical care, kind of saw it in its
Exactly.
infancy and then just kind of see how it is now.
Yeah,
A
see it
teenager.
grow. See it grow. Exactly.
Because how long has how long have we had critical care here for?
What was that, 1990?
Oh, so no, it's like
When did she?
20 something.
1997?
27 years now?
Or am I speaking too soon? Was it later than that?
We will put that into an inset.
We will, yeah.
We'll give you guys
As
the
we
information.
confirm our dates. It'll
But
go inset right here.
But I think without the combination of Sherry, shout out Sherry, and you, I mean, you really have always written some pretty progressive protocols for the critical care team. And I know, as a critical care medic, when I went to critical care, I was like, oh wow, I really get to I get to do stuff now, and I love that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always have said in life, I never want to be the first person to do something because I want other people to see if it works or not. But I also don't want to be the last person to do something.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Good tip, guys.
Maybe this is a good segue. If I bring up, I
Yeah,
brought
yes,
with.
absolutely.
Yes, let's do it.
Speaking of not being allowed to do something, I brought with me the St. Francis SOPs cut to inset from 1980, and they
crazy.
talk about, they're 8 pages.
8 pages long.
And they talk about tourniquets to treat pulmonary edema. So to turn the tourniquet on just enough to slow venous return, to unload the heart. Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Nope.
They talk about syrup of ipecac to induce vomiting. We stopped doing that because it made the ambulances messy.
We've talked about puke and me, and that was
and then here's the thing, because I know coming up you're going to talk about this month, but medications and intravenous fluids are to be ordered by the emergency physician at the hospital and given under his direction. Yeah. So we learned later on that women can be physicians and any other sort of position.
Shout out to Women's History Month.
Shout out to Women's History Month. Yes. And then also in here it says infants are very specialized and small children, and so they should just be transported rapidly.
Oh.
There was
No pediatric protocols in here.
Oh, no.
It goes back to how we were talking about pediatric patients in a couple episodes ago. We were like, what's some things that we're not super comfortable with? Peds, they were definitely not comfortable with peds back then. It's just, hey, they're little people. Go faster.
Yeah.
That's funny.
For sure.
But that's crazy. 8 pages long. This is 1980.
80.
October 1980. There was 8 pages long. Now we have a full app.
Yeah.
We have a full app that updates every week.
Hundreds of pages, yeah.
Hundreds and
Exactly.
hundreds of pages. Just
Exactly.
goes to show you that's from 1980 how far we've come along. What else
And
did you?
historically, oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked.
What else did you bring us here? Because this
I
is
also
really
brought,
exciting.
which you guys found my certificate, my EMT book, Cut to Insight, from the 4th edition.
4th edition AAOS. It's the
Yeah.
American
Here's
Association.
our current EMT
And
book.
current one is this big.
Now this one was funny. This is our EMR loop, Dr. French Katienza, right? And then this is the EMR book now. And then just
Pretty
look
much
at
the
the.
same, pretty
It's
much
the
the
pretty
same.
much the exact same thing. EMR, emergency medical responder. I think what we're doing now, and even then, I think
Yeah.
now as EMRs, they're understanding a little more physiology just because we've learned more about physiology and anatomy stuff. That's pretty fun.
Just renewed my EMT license,
Woohoo.
which
There
I
it
let
is.
expire because I got a little busy in med school.
A little bit.
So because of COVID, they're allowing us to reactivate
Oh,
to
yeah,
get
that's
the
right.
workforce back working. So I'm now, as of last month, nationally registered EMT and licensed
Great.
in the state of Illinois.
Congrats.
But I brought that up because I had to take the test.
Mhm.
And a lot of the questions are, you know it or you don't. It's kind of memorizing. But some of it is a lot of, you need to understand the medical concepts to answer the question.
Those critical
So it's a
thinking
pretty
questions, yeah.
challenging test.
It is.
hmm
I don't know what my score was. They didn't tell me. But
If you
maybe your
pass,
investigative team
if you,
can find out.
that's the thing. My team couldn't do it, but when you pass, it doesn't give you a score.
Mhm.
If you fail, it used to be pretty nice because it used to give us a breakdown of what we lacked in above passing, near passing, below passing. Now it just gives us a score out of like 950. So if you pass, your score was above 950. I think the most is like 1250. I think you can get. I think I don't know.
The SATs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like the MCATs. I'm kidding. MCATs I hear are not very fun.
They're not fun.
Cool. Awesome. That's really, really fun. But this is going to get me to my next question. I know everyone likes this question. What is your favorite doctor show?
Ooh.
Medical show,
that's a
doctor
good
show?
one.
Yeah.
So I have two from two different generations. So I
Okay.
love the show Emergency.
Emergency.
Yeah,
Emergency, that
I
was
watched
a good
it
one.
as a kid even before I was even interested in medicine. And in fact, I went to a medical conference where Johnny Gage, Randolph Mantooth is the actor, on the show was the guest speaker. And he
That's
actually tours around the country at medical EMS
Really?
conferences as a guest symposium speaker.
That's pretty
The
cool.
one thing I remember he said is, back in the day, and this was like 80s, late 70s, they were asked to come, fire chiefs would call them up and ask them to do their continuing education. He's an actor doing an EMS show, EMS and fire. And they would ask him to come and do their continuing education.
That's awesome. That's a good way to entice people. There's going to be an
Right.
actor that's going to teach your CE guys.
Yeah,
Make
is
sure
it-
you attend it.
Is it because they viewed him as an expert or because they
Uh-huh.
wanted him for engagement?
Because of the show. Yeah,
Wow.
because of everything that they were doing on the show.
Interesting.
That's funny.
And then my
That's
second
awesome.
favorite show is ER.
You are.
I actually think the shows are pretty realistic and all the mistakes that took place, the medical errors and things. I would be sitting there and be like, no, oh, he's going to let go of the tube. He's going to let go of the tube, and then the tube's going to migrate. So it was good. It was actually medically pretty sound, a little dramatic.
Yes.
Not
As they-
everything
as
on
they
the
are,
show is
yeah.
what I do,
Right.
spending my day at the hospital.
Right.
Yeah, those are my two medical
Yeah,
shows.
one thing that I see in all of medical shows is the breaks that they have. Just like, oh, I'm just going to take a break and go talk to this person for 20 minutes of the
Yeah.
show. It's very fast paced.
Well, all the time I get in my car and I drive to my patients' houses. Check
to go check to see what they got going on, if they're lying to us.
bring them food.
Shout out House. House actually was one of my favorite
Oh,
favorite
I
shows.
liked House.
Doctor
Yeah.
House. But same thing. Everyone hates watching medical shows with me because I'll be like, no, you don't do that. That's not how it's supposed to be done.
But I always hear that like emergency and ER, those are two of the shows that were the most accurate.
Mm-hmm.
The
Exactly.
Good Doctor is actually pretty accurate.
Is it? I haven't seen
I've
that one.
to an extent, yeah. It's very very dramatic, very just very out there, but I feel like it's very maybe because I understand it more. I don't know, but I feel like it's very very good. And then they take the time to explain like, oh, they have this because of this maybe that's how a house was too for me. But yeah, cool, awesome. Um, we do know it's National Doctors Day. Is there anything, any advice, anything you'd like to say for your fellow? What do I think you guys call them? Fellow? You guys call them something? Not coworkers.
Oh.
Colleague?
Colleagues. Yes, I've noticed that all doctors call each other colleagues. I mean, when they're talking to each other, like, oh, I gotta refer to my colleagues.
So the advice I give people, especially if they're, just starting out or thinking about doing something, the advice I always give is, like for me, to be a doctor, you don't have to be the smartest person in class, but you do have to be committed.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a different lifestyle. So when I was going through medical school and residency, I wasn't partying all night till 6 a.m. and then sleeping all day on Saturday. I would still go out, have fun, enjoy yourself, but then get home by 10 or 11 or 12 so that the next day you can get up and study.
Yeah.
So it's just a commitment. So whether you're studying for an EMT exam or a paramedic exam or you're going to nursing school, it's just all about a commitment to the lifestyle that you want to achieve.
That's awesome.
Has anybody else in your family become a doctor now that you kind of
No,
cracked open that door?
Paved
not
the
at
way.
all. No, my sister's a graphic designer.
Nice.
My parents and my grandparents, they all had the thought process that you go to hospitals to die.
Oh.
So they really didn't understand what I was doing at all, but appreciate after I got through it.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to get to the part of the show where we actually get to our investigators' questions.
Uh-oh.
Our team of investigators uncovered a couple different little things that we kind of wanted to get to. One thing is they found out that you love coffee.
Oh.
You love coffee.
Yes.
And that's I feel like that's an understatement a little bit.
Mhm.
Because I'm not going to say they went to your home or anything and saw that you were growing a coffee plant.
I am.
Oh, look at that. They were right, I
Yes.
guess. We got to pay them more.
I have a Arabica dwarf coffee plant. I have a couple of citrus dwarf trees too that I bring them in the winter and I bring them out in my patio in the summer. But I'm trying for the first time coffee plant. It's like this tall, cut to the inside. I'll send you a picture of my coffee plant. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know if I get some beans out of it. But yeah, I'm totally into it. I went to Honduras and did a whole coffee trip for a week and
That's awesome.
climbed the mountains and went up into the trees with a group of people and we picked coffee cherries off of the tree, cut to the inside. And then we went out to a field and we washed them in this big cement thing with a hose and
Wow.
baked them out and dried them for a couple days, and then we roasted them, and then we cupped them. A coffee cupping is the same thing as like a wine tasting. They call it cupping.
Cupping.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
So I enjoy all the nuances.
Did they make you spit into that little thingy, like a wine tasting did?
No, for coffee tasting, you sort of slurp it and make a really loud noise and slurp it.
Oh, I should start doing that
Yeah,
so I can slurp my
to
coffee.
get the coffee flavors to all the taste buds of your tongue, because
Interesting.
different areas of your tongue
Right.
appreciate different tastes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did your time in the ER at some point at St. Francis. Our team of investigators uncovered a picture that we would now like to show you. Just kind of let us know what was happening in this picture, what you were doing, how this picture came about, who took it maybe. Maybe it was like a good friend of yours, but I want you to just kind of take a look at it and just give us your thoughts.
I knew it! Oh, no. Is this going to be cut to the inside?
Yes.
It's cut to inside.
So, part of this is I enjoy to eat.
Okay.
I enjoy eating. And so, yeah, I think this was La Bamba. I like their big burritos.
Ooh.
Burritos as big as your head.
All right.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
this
what it
was at
looks
St.
like.
Francis in the break room. And I was hungry. I was working on my scrubs on, so I was hungry. And yeah, I like to eat, and that's part of the reason why. I have been known to finish a whole table of appetizers too.
Really?
So, but yeah, great investigative team. Good job, team.
How long ago was this picture?
That was probably, I'm gonna say like 2010.
I wonder if La Bamba still like in
The thing. Just
still
so
a
open.
thing?
I remember it from college too.
I'm gonna have to
Enjoyed it at late night.
check that out next time I'm out by St. Francis.
Yeah. So yeah, good job, team. Investigative team.
Very limited. Dr. French is a hard guy to crack.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, let's get to the show. Part of the show where we show our mugs.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the mugs. What do we have going
I
on?
have a couple, so I couldn't narrow it down.
We can
I just
decide.
couldn't. I have a whole drawer
Yeah.
for at home. So I have my Google one. Please do not confuse your Google search with my medical degree.
Now, do you bring out the coffee mugs
Love
depending on
that.
what kind of patient you're going to talk
I
to?
should. Although there's that thing about patient satisfaction surveys,
Oh, yeah.
so that gets in the way these days.
Gotcha.
I have my mug that's a prescription to Mr. Java Joe Espresso. Drink 1 mug by mouth. Repeat until awake and alert. Expires when empty. I have my ER one with an EKG rhythm.
Oh, I like that one.
Call out the rhythm in your comments. And then this is my standard to-go mug. This actually came from, it's Collectivo, but they used to be, hey, Milwaukee residents, it used to be called Ibsento, and I discovered Ibsento when I was working up in Milwaukee at Columbia St. Mary's, and I would stop there every day because they have an awesome iced mocha.
Shout out Jessica Bertolotti. I borrowed a mug today. If any of you want, for me to feature your mug on the coffee corner, I'd be happy to. Anyway, it says, save yourself. I'm on my coffee break.
That's awesome. I'm drinking coffee, don't bother me. Mine is, it's my M1. I think this is pretty just straight up M for Marco.
Classic.
It's a very classic one. I have to bring in my other ones. Since I became a dad, I have 2 kids. I've gotten so many mugs from them. I got to start bringing in my World's Best Dad. I have one that says World's Okayest Dad, and I think that one's very acceptable, and I love that one. We're getting the lights. All right, awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in to the season 2 of the Coffee Corner. Dr. French, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us. It was. You were awesome. You were awesome guest.
Shout out to Superior, the Midwest Division. Before you know it, we'll have maybe an East Coast, a West Coast division. We'll see.
But at this taping, we're only 5 states. So, all right, cheers. Let's cheers it to that one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, Dr. French.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.